Hello, leaders. Welcome to the fourth annual Global Engagement Rally. My name is Maria Eileen Wheeler, and I serve as the 2023 to 2024 International Vice President and the Chair of the Global Relations Committee. So this year's Global Engagement Rally is designed to bring together leaders from around the world to share their knowledge, build relationships, and celebrate the accomplishments of all of our key clubs. Our committee and international board are so excited to welcome you all here today. So don't forget to stay tuned until the end when we will reveal this year's international convention theme. So I will now pass it over to our Key Club International Trustee, Gabrielle Roden of the Jamaica District, to remind and lead us through today's code of conduct.
Hello, Key Clubbers. I'm Gabrielle, and I'm the International Trustee for the Florida, Ohio, and Bahamas districts. I will now briefly run over the Code of Conduct for our event. Key Club International's professional behavior. Language. This is a celebration. Name calling, bullying, or vulgar language will not be permitted. Conduct. Please refrain from any behavior or conduct that is inappropriate. Video. Appropriate clothing must be worn during this event. Avoid disturbing movement in the background. Use of alcohol, tobacco, and drugs is not permitted in virtual meetings. I will now welcome Key Club International's President, Kyle Hansen of the Pacific Northwest District, to give his presidential remarks.
Greetings, everyone. I'm incredibly excited to see members gathered from all around the globe to celebrate our friendship and service. I've been beyond impressed with Key Clubbers this year, from my home district in the Pacific Northwest through the Philippines and beyond, and with the impact we are making in our communities. From raising tens of thousands of dollars for Start Strong Zambia, to our increase in the number of clubs applying to the Youth Opportunities Fund, you have all displayed your commitment to leadership, character building, caring, and inclusiveness. I am honored to be able to serve you all as International President this year. Please continue plugging into the many upcoming events and opportunities from Key Club International by following us on Instagram at KeyClubInt and the International Board at keyclub.iboard. A special thank you to our international editor and trustee, Ria Bajpayee, who works incredibly hard to keep you all up to date. And while we are all here to celebrate global leadership in Key Club, what better way to honor global leaders who have influenced us than to nominate them for the Key of Honor? The Key of Honor is the highest recognition award presented by the Key Club International Board, honoring a person who has made a lifelong positive impact upon youth in general, Key Club specifically, or an organization that has shown long-term support of youth and Key Club programs. Please review the nomination process at the link in the chat and consider nominating someone who's made a difference in the lives of Key Clubbers in your community. Applications are due on January 5th, 2024. Finally, as we transition into the second half of the service year, I would encourage you to revisit why you joined Key Club and why you were elected to your current position. Think about what your goals and ambitions were, and consider how much progress you have made towards achieving them. This service year will be over sooner than you anticipate, so it's critical to set aside time now to set goals and plan for this last half of our term together. And don't forget, you are always welcome to seek support, advice, and help from any of our trustees, Maria, and me. Now, I'm excited to welcome International Trustee Ethan Schmidt to introduce our keynote speaker for today's event.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan Schmidt, and I serve as a 2023-2024 Key Club International Trustee. On behalf of the International Board, I am honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Reena Remani, a senior at Vestavia Hills High School and a four-year member of my home club. Reena serves as the founder of Project Me, an international nonprofit organization that aims to promote menstrual equity in low-resource countries, stretching across 3 countries and impacting the lives of hundreds of schoolgirls. Watching Reena's hard work, both in our local community and on the global scale, has truly been inspirational. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Reena Remani.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction, Ethan. I will now share my screen for my presentation. So, 1 second. There we go. Okay. Again, my name is Reena Remani, and I'm so honored to be talking in front of you all here today. I am here to tell you about my story, why and how I started my passion project, Project Menstrual Equity, and how Key Club has impacted me along this journey. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself so you have a better idea of who I am before we dive into my project. So, as Ethan already mentioned, I have been a Key Club member for 4 years, and now I'm a senior about to graduate this following May. I'm 17 years old. I live in Vestavia Hills in the state of Alabama in the United States. Some things I do outside of Key Club and outside of my nonprofit organization include debate, girls golf team. I'm a Girl Scout. I'm an ambassador for my school. I do some part-time research, and I currently have a job at a singing studio. And I wanted to kind of share this so you know, get to know me as a person in general and not just my project. But the biggest part of what I do, I feel, is Project Menstrual Equity, or Project Me for short. So what is Project Me? So, Project Menstrual Equity's mission statement is a project that addresses period poverty and stigmatization facing schools in low resource countries. That's a pretty big statement, right? It can be pretty vague if we don't have the necessary background to break it down. So let's do that. The nonprofit has a couple of goals and objectives that will hopefully give you the bigger picture of what we do. So we have 2 branches of our nonprofit organization. One is awareness and the second is outreach. So our goal with awareness is to increase attention about period poverty / menstrual inequities and menstrual hygiene. And we do that by talking about it on social media and events like these, including news channels, newspapers, even national news. And a big part of our awareness, which isn't really the point here today, which I'll just mention briefly, is my Women's Health Ambassador Program. So me, along with 14 other girls, have gone as far as to petition our State Board of Education to bring more menstrual education into our middle school curriculum. So not only do we have international reach, but we're working to increase awareness about menstrual health within our own state and within our own country. But what I feel is the most prominent and most important part of our nonprofit is our outreach program, which I'll expand on very shortly. But the goal is to provide again a cost-efficient and environmentally friendly solution to menstrual poverty in schools with low resource countries. And we do this by distributing washable and reusable cloth sanitary pads to girls in over 4 different countries so far. This includes Zambia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, India, and Guatemala. So I think you may have noticed, but in our nonprofit, we throw around the word period poverty, but a lot of people don't know what that is. But it's important to know what it is in order to understand the gravity of the situation and how we're making an impact as a nonprofit. So what is period poverty? It's the lack of access to menstrual products due to financial constraints, lack of resources, and stigmatization. And I want to put emphasis on stigmatization. Yes, we recognize that countries with low resources aren't able to financially provide girls with hygienic sanitary napkins, but a big part of the situation is the stigmatization around menstruation in many cultures. So a lot of governments have money, but they don't allocate it towards needs such as menstruation for women. And so a lot of women are suffering because of that. For example, where my family's from, in India, a lot of girls aren't able to speak out and ask for help when it comes to menstruation, and it's considered forbidden and an inappropriate topic to discuss in public. And it shouldn't be, because 50% of our human population goes through this. And in order to keep women safe and give them as many opportunities as we can, it's important to break down that stigmatization and give women access to these resources, even if it's not through the government. And I have a statistic for you here. At least 500 million women go through period poverty. That's 500 million women around the world in an issue that not a lot of people even recognize to be true. But before I dive into what I've accomplished as a CEO and founder of Project Me, I'd like to share my story of why I started this initiative in the first place. So I come from an Indian immigrant family, as I said before, and I've mentioned that the stigmatization around menstruation has been prominent for generations in my family and in our culture in general. And that's carried over into America when they immigrated. And as I became a woman at 11 years old, I even then started noticing some practices in my Indian community that didn't make sense to me. Things like I was being forced to stay away from places of worship during my period because of my quote unquote uncleanliness and that it would soil the rituals. I was silenced by elders in the community for conversing about this improper topic in front of people in front of men in my family, and that even included my father. And I was restricted from exercising or going outside or playing sports during this time to avoid putting my body under excessive stress in my apparent delicate state. I didn't understand, even at 11 years old, why this inherent part of being a woman, again, 50% of the population go through this, and why this specific topic deserved so much shame. And I thought that living in the US, apart from that Indian culture, could allow me to detach from the menstrual discrimination, but I was wrong. And after enduring this treatment for 4 years and the stigmatization, my desire to do something about the situation only grew stronger. And when I was 15 years old, I decided it was my responsibility to break down that taboo and those barriers of menstrual conversation and talk about it with my Indian community. So one day at a community gathering, I walked on stage and gave a presentation about why it's important to talk about menstruation and the malpractices our culture conducted surrounding the topic. In that moment, I was terrified, and I was scared of judgment and shame being put on me from everybody in the community. And in that moment, I was going against what my family believed and our multi-generational culture believed. But it was something that I felt truly strongly in, and I was proud that I was able to break down that first barrier to some of that stigmatization. And the thing is, as I was researching to prepare for the speech, I realized how many other cultures around the world practice similar stigmatization regarding menstruation. I mean, I knew what happened in India, where my family's from, but I soon learned that places like South America and countries in Africa and even Eastern Europe put their women in very uncomfortable positions. Even in the United States, there's still places like this. And people are even in worse situations than mine. And in some cultures, menstruation meant giving up education. In the 5 to 7 days a month that a girl goes through her cycle, they're having to stay home from their studies. This means that these young girls fall back tremendously every single month in their education, and it adds up so quickly that a lot of them are having to drop out of school because they can't catch up. And a lot of this is due to the fact that they don't have the proper resources to contain and to deal with their menstruation. And it's a result of period poverty. So this is when I put my first efforts towards the outreach program. And no, I didn't really know if I'd be successful in this endeavor, but I came up with an idea and I researched on YouTube and learned how to make reusable cloth pads at home. And I wanted to give these girls a solution to their problem. So I'm not a sewer in the least, but I was determined to make an impact. So I stayed up long hours trying to perfect my prototype. So this was my first prototype. And it wasn't that great, but I didn't know that in the beginning because I was just learning. And when I sent this to a lot of people to review, I got a lot of feedback, but I didn't give up, and I still proposed my idea to our local university's global health program, and they awarded us with generous funding, a generous grant. And with this money, what was once 2 pieces of cotton cloth and some flannel put together, it became an actual product. We partnered with an all-female company and we manufactured low-cost and sustainable pads. And one set of this can last a girl up to 3 years. That's 3 years of choosing education over menstruation. And if I learned anything from this experience, I can tell you, it was that you don't necessarily need talent in order to achieve something. Like I still can't sew for the life of me, but I just persevered and I knew that if I kept trying to do something, then I would find a way around it, and I made it work. And so after developing this idea and funding for 3 other countries, a year later, this June, I traveled to Zambia to hand deliver my menstrual pads and witness period poverty among these schoolgirls. This is the Zambia project. So to kind of describe what I went through and the process of all of it. When I first landed in Zambia, we received the packages directly from the company we were partnering with, Soch Green, and we began assembling them. It took over 5 hours, and in waterproof bags, we placed 4 pads in each with instructions to go along with it in English and also in their native language. And that night we packed 200 bags for 200 girls at the school we were going to go to. The next morning, I took these bags to the Department of Health in Zambia, their building, and made a presentation to government officials. And these are just some of the pictures along the way. And then, escorted by government officials, I visited the Chongwe Secondary School for girls in rural Zambia. So this is about 2 hours outside of their capital, Lusaka. And once we arrived at the school, all 200 girls gathered around me, and I gave a speech about why I was there. I explained the materials I had bought for them, as well as talking to them about the importance of opening up discussion in menstruation. But along with this, I also knew that these pads wouldn't last them very long. Yes, 3 years is a lot, but what do they do after that? So I sat there for 2 hours and I went over with them on how to make reusable and sanitary napkins by themselves. And before this, they had been using different materials such as newspapers and cloth from clothes, but I taught them a different technique which would ensure that there would be a smaller chance of infection as well. So this was also part of this trip. I'd say that this was an indescribable experience. It was the first time I really understood the kind of impact I was making. Sure, I did funding and I sent packages to India and Pakistan, not Pakistan, Guatemala and the Democratic Republic of Congo, but I wasn't there. I only heard of what the poverty was, but I never saw it. And this was really the first time. I got to talk to a lot of girls my age, and they told me about how they found it hard to keep up in school when they had to leave so often for their menstruation problems. And even though it looked like they weren't experiencing direct poverty, they explained to me how they still had no access to menstrual products because of the lack of government funding and because of the stigmatization in their culture. So hearing this made me feel like I was doing something and like I was helping these girls my age gain access to education to become whatever they wanted to be. And I'd like to think that I helped break down one of those barriers for them. And with the conclusion of my Zambia project, my nonprofit has aided over 700 girls around the world battle period poverty and keep them in school, a project I started when I was 15. So what does this have to do with Key Club, you may be asking? The skills I learned as a part of Key Club was essential to me to help start my nonprofit. So this is really the first time when I stepped into those meetings, seeing hundreds of people show dedication to service, and it motivated me to do the same. I saw peers in the club take action, and I was inspired to take my own. I hope that my story and my actions inspire you to take action about the problems you see in the world and that are meaningful to you. And hopefully this gives you a bigger picture of what your own project, Stand Strong Zambia, can accomplish. And if you would like to learn more information about Project Me, you can visit projectmeinternational.com or you can check out our Instagram page. Thank you so much for your time, and let me know in the chat if anybody has any questions. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all the kind words. There's a question. Do you have any plans to help reduce the cost of pads/tampons or raise the amount of education about them in the US? Yes. So with my Women's Health Ambassador program, that's kind of what we started doing. So we've petitioned the board, but we've also visited many middle schools in the area and around our state and talking to them about their own menstrual health, going more into depth about the topic more than they do within their curriculum, but also talk about how it's important to keep themselves safe when it comes to this topic, and also how women around the world deal with it as well. Do you plan to continue your nonprofit company? I hope to do this in the future, actually. In college, that's something that I want to do, and I want to go into global health as my career, and I hope to continue this initiative and take it even further and expand my horizons. Yeah. Let's see. What advice would you have for other students who want to start their own initiatives or projects? I think a lot of times people always have I think a lot of times people always have amazing ideas, but they're always scared to start. They always don't know how to do it. And I think the advice that I'd give people is just start. Like, a lot of times you will fail in the beginning. Like, you won't succeed right away, just like I didn't with my menstrual pads, and I had to keep trying and trying. And I think that that's a really big point, that you just need to keep trying, is my advice. Yeah. Do I have any projects for the near future to expand my nonprofit? Well, I do want to expand it to maybe different countries, and even like within places like Zambia, expand it throughout the country and not just allocate it towards specific areas. How expensive do you think period essentials will get in the future? Well, I think in general, pads and tampons that are already disposable are so expensive, but I mean, I honestly don't have an answer for you on that, but I do think that it needs to change, especially in other countries as well that don't have such a high economic status that we do in the United States. How are you able to connect with your international areas in order to ensure that your products reach these girls in the first place? So the university that I work with, the University of Alabama in Birmingham, has a global health program. And so they're the ones who gave me the funding for the pads, but also through them, I was able to make connections with doctors. And through those doctors, I made connections with doctors based in Zambia and based in DRC and based in India and Guatemala. And so that was kind of the way I was able to have someone on ground talking to me. Let's see, what advice do you have for time management as an ambitious high schooler? How were you able to do this as a student? Honestly, I don't really have an answer for that. It's a lot of just motivation. Like, it's really easy to quit, but if you are good at time management and you can get things done at a certain time and make sure that you have room for other things that you want to do, and you can still have fun. Like, it's not like I just did this nonprofit organization and didn't go like outside into the world at all. But I think that comes with practice, and like, you need to start getting things on your plate and learning how to manage it, and that's really how you do it. And I think it differs from person to person. Which state in India, in your experience, is more progressive towards taking action, or all states equally backward? I wouldn't say it's backward. So the thing is, India has such a huge population that it's really hard to get all of these materials to everybody. And so a lot of what we see is the urban areas in India, just like in the United States, have a lot more progressive ideas. But in the rural areas, there's not as much. I personally don't know which states do and don't have more progressive actions towards it. But I do know that overall, in general, they are becoming more progressive. As more people are speaking out, it's becoming a bigger issue as well. How can we as club members help this organization? Any fundraising or other suggestions? So you can, if you want to do a monetary donation, you can do that as well. But what a big factor of our awareness project is to promote talking about menstruation. So we do have an Instagram. So if you guys want to repost anything on that, that would be great as well. I think that's a really big way that club members can do that. Yes, and that's about it.
Thank you so much, Reena. Yeah, so truly inspiring. I think we're gonna jump into workshops. So thank you so much for your keynote today. Your work is truly inspiring, and we hope that others look into it and as well get more involved with menstrual equality in their communities. Wow, thank you all so much for joining our workshops. It has been so fun to host you all today, and we are excited for the future service year ahead. Before we get to the big news that you are all waiting for, I will ask Ian Opal and Alyssa Klein, our programs and partners co-chairs, to give an update on the current progress of Start Strong Zambia. Take it away.
Hey Key Club, we are thrilled to share the latest achievements and future endeavors of Key Club's impactful collaboration with UNICEF USA, particularly through the Start Strong Zambia program. This partnership has been a beacon of hope, working tirelessly to uplift communities and empower the youth in Zambia through various initiatives. To appreciate the depth of this collaboration, it's essential to understand the historical context of UNICEF USA and Key Club's past projects. Together, our organizations have previously collaborated on efforts to protect mothers and babies from maternal and neonatal tetanus, as well as to expand efforts in the 90s to fight iodine deficiency disorders. Since the start of our partnership in 1994, Key Club has raised over $12 million for various UNICEF programs around the globe.
For those of you unfamiliar, Key Club and UNICEF USA's newest partnership is the Start Strong Zambia campaign. All funds raised will contribute to building innovative community centers called Nsakas. These centers are equipped with spaces for children to learn and play, a community kitchen, playground, water and sanitation facilities, and a vegetable garden. Start Strong Zambia also focuses on training community-based volunteers, healthcare providers, and teachers to create nurturing and stimulating environments for young children. This includes the provision of age-appropriate toys such as blocks, stringing beads, and books to encourage development and strengthen bonds between children and parents. The funds we raise are vital to supporting early childhood brain development and growth.
The Start Strong Zambia program is off to a fantastic start. In the past year, UNICEF Zambia has built 12 Nsaka centers, which are vital hubs for the community. In order to dramatically improve family access to integrated early childhood development programs, or ECDs, 12 boreholes have been drilled at these centers, supporting health facilities and promoting ECD programming across 26 community sites. Finally, since the project start, we have raised a whopping $105,000 and counting.
UNICEF has impacted approximately 20,000 caregivers through outreach initiatives that provide integrated ECD counseling, which includes responsive care, health, nutrition and water, sanitation and hygiene, or WASH, through home visits and community meetings. Through play-based learning, the Nsaka centers have impacted 7,737 children aged 0 to 3 years, and an additional 3,229 children aged 3 to 8 years in the past year. UNICEF's dedication to supporting health professionals, early childhood educators, nurse trainee instructors, and community-based volunteers is indicative of a comprehensive strategy that improves parenting techniques and the standard of children's homes.
As we look to the remainder of the year, exciting new projects are on the horizon. To continue our support for Start Strong Zambia, we invite all members to actively participate in fundraising efforts. Funds can be submitted through the Key Club International website or by mailing us a check made payable to the Kiwanis Children's Fund.
We are also delighted to announce some special new members of the Key Club and UNICEF USA community, the UNICEF Champions. Each district of Key Club has named one individual as their UNICEF champion. Our 33 champions will serve to promote UNICEF and its mission across Key Club and spearhead fundraising efforts. We are excited to see what they will accomplish. If you need a couple of creative fundraising ideas for Start Strong Zambia, here are a few of our favorites.
A children's concert. Host a concert featuring a local church or school children's choir selling admissions to raise funds.
A book sale. Collect and resell old books, records, tapes, and CDs to support the cause.
A sports tournament. Organize a round-robin tournament in sports like softball, pickleball, ping pong, or card games, charging admissions fees.
And finally, a grab-and-go stand. Set up stands in your neighborhood, library, or school campus to sell baked goods, coffee, or cocoa.
As we wrap up our UNICEF USA update, the Key Club International Board thanks you all for your tireless efforts in fundraising and continued support for the Key Club and UNICEF USA partnership. We hope you take this valuable information back to your clubs and that you continue to be a positive force for change. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Alyssa, or your district's UNICEF champion. Thank you.
I'll now pass it on to my fellow international trustee, Ria Bajpai, to give an update on the GLC.
Hey Key Clubbers, I'm Ria Bajpai, and I'm here to talk with you about the Global Leadership Certificate, which we call the GLC for short. The Global Leadership Certificate is a series of online courses based on Key Club's core values of fellowship, leadership, and service. You'll learn traditional skills as well as gain expertise in networking, conflict management, inspiring others, navigating change, and more. The Global Leadership Certificate is included in Key Club membership at no additional cost and is available to all members of clubs in good standing. You have access to nearly 40 courses at your fingertips on topics including building meaningful relationships, strategic versus tactical leadership, networking, inclusion, civic engagement, and being an agent for change. Courses are grouped together by 11 different leadership competencies listed here. Through videos, assessments, resources, and other activities, you'll learn how to get your voice heard and your community's concerns met. Here's a glimpse of the course dashboard showing a progress bar and completion of the first 3 courses under the connection competency. We can complete courses when we have time and log in as many times as needed to complete all 39. A number of you have been working hard. Over 16,000 courses have been completed by Key Club students, with 237 students completing the full certificate. Even your own Key Club International President Kyle Hansen and trustees Abigail Choi, Alan An, and me completed the GLC to supercharge our leadership abilities. Alan and I also completed the GLC Masterclass at Key Club Icon. You should too. There are several ideas on how you can use the GLC courses, and maybe you have others. One fun idea is to complete the course as a club. A number of the courses lend themselves to group participation. For example, you could log in under one club member's actual GLC course and view the video and short follow-up reading together. Then you'd work on the reflection questions at the end. Or you could ask everyone to complete the course ahead of time and then come together for a follow-up discussion. You could create a strategic plan as a group. Side note, if you want to walk into a job interview and explain how you led the creation of a strategic plan, you'll blow them away. With any of these ideas, even if your club doesn't participate, you could have a subgroup of members who are specifically interested in GLC. You could do it book club style, where every week the members complete a course and then come together to discuss or build on the topic. You could take turns leading the session. You can also buddy up. Say there are just 2 of you who want to do this together. You can repeat any of the above ideas with just 2 or a few of you. At the 2023 Key Club International Convention, we hosted the first Global Leadership Certificate Masterclass. 39 students completed the Global Leadership Certificate and its inaugural masterclass before the 2023 Key Club International Convention. Members from over 30 high schools represented 16 districts in the US, Canada, and Jamaica. Courses were taught by special guest lecturers, and they took the online courses and turned them into practical information that you can use in your roles in Key Club, your community, and whatever comes next. Key Club is hosting another masterclass at the 2024 Icon in Atlanta. This year, we'll also be launching a new International Nonprofits course in early 2024 to the Global Leadership Certificate to get us a total of 40 courses. This course will teach you about different kinds of international nonprofits and recognize ways that you can serve and volunteer. For PDF instructions on how to access courses and frequently asked questions, visit Key Club's website or email slpcertificate@kiwanis.org. I'll now pass it on to Georgia District Governor Armin Seji to announce the news that we're all anxiously awaiting to hear about, the ICON 2024 theme.
Thank you so much, Rhea. The International Board and Georgia District Board are more than excited to wrap up the 2023 to 2024 service year at the upcoming International Convention hosted in Atlanta, Georgia through July 10th through 14th in 2024. Any guesses as to what the theme might be? Let's build up some anticipation and have our second chat wave of the day. Drop your guesses in 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see. All right, so we have sports. We have track, Olympics, pirates, Atlantis, cereal, service on ice, space, food, anime, Lord of the Rings. Lots of interesting guesses here, guys. Movie stars, cheese, okay. Squishmallows, Grease, ice, One Piece. Lots of just great guesses, y'all. Any others?
It's just a drum roll.
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm making plans. Where will you be July 10th through 14th?
Well, I'm gonna be having the time of my life at the Hilton Atlanta Hotel.
Why?
Well, the Key Club International Convention, of course.
Oh, sounds cool, but what's the international convention?
Well, the convention is going to be an action-packed weekend for members across the world to celebrate service, learn about leadership, and just meet Key Clubbers from everywhere.
Wow, that sounds awesome, but who can attend?
Well, any Key Club member in good standing can.
That's so cool, but why are you dressed like that?
Well, this year's international convention theme is going to be Go for Gold. I'm channeling my inner champion.
Whoa! So, what you're telling me is that from July 10th through 14th, I can go to Atlanta, meet Key Club members from around the world, and grow as a leader? That sounds like a pretty cool idea to me.
Mark your calendars from July 10th through the 14th. We can't wait to see all of you there.
Well, you heard it here. The 2024 International Convention theme is Go for Gold. We want to see you bring it to this year's Icon theme. Where will you be celebrating all your Key Club's achievements and victories?
Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you, Key Clubbers, for joining us today. It has been such a pleasure to host you this Saturday, and we look forward to working with you even more throughout the service year.